Hey, what's going on, guys? I just couldn't leave it like that. So I don't like when it's all choppy and things get messy. So we did a little diagnosing here. I called in the tech support help, and I already got rid of all the graphics and stuff. So I still want to do the stock market update. If you're interested, at least you've got it. You could take it with you, ask questions, leave comments like you always do. But I just couldn't quit, man. I don't quit when things don't go well. I got to fix it, and we got a lot of big things planned here for you guys at Jazz and the people that watch. So I want to make sure, I do my best to give you what I say that I want to give you here. So let's get started. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way. We're not going to have the graphics. We're not going to have the sort of fanciness here, but I will pull up the charts. I should be able to do that. As far as the stock market goes, you had a day where the Dow was higher, the S&P was higher, the NASDAQ was lower. What do you do with that, right? So that's immediate, where you have to go, something's wrong somewhere. Either there was one particular stock holding up the Dow and part of the S&P, or there was something holding back the NASDAQ, because things generally move in the same direction, right? So there's some relationships we usually look at. And normally you'll hear me say, if you see the Dow was up 200 points, the S&P should be up somewhere around 20. It should be close to that. And if you find that the Dow's up 200, the S&P's up 1, and the NASDAQ is down, then we've got some real disconnection there. And that just means that people aren't quite sure where they want to be and how they want to be there. Now, that's fair, because we're in the middle of earnings season. We've got the midterm elections coming up tomorrow. I can promise you that's going to give you some volatility going into that, especially once we find out the idea there. If you're a futures trader, you're going to want to be watching tomorrow night. So get all your sleep tonight and during the day tomorrow, because you're going to see your action tomorrow night when the results start coming in. As far as earnings go, I mentioned earlier, 1,359 names have reported earnings already. So we've crested, right? We've come to the sort of crest of what is to be expected from earnings. There will be some other names. Marriott came out. Booking Holdings came out today as well. We'll cover that. Here's the gist of it, though. I like stats. I like numbers. I like to geek out on this stuff. 67.3% of the companies have beat, so far, the ones that have reported, have beat on earnings, right? So that's actually a good thing. As you go through and you look at the companies that beat last quarter, excuse me, versus this quarter, that's an increase. 58.2% of them have beat on revenue. Remember, we said this earnings season is going to be all about revenue, and only 58.2 beat. It was over 65% last quarter. So a sharp, that's considered a sharp decline in companies that are not beating on revenue, which means what could possibly be happening out there? Still a little early to tell, but you should know that. Thursday this week, we've got the Federal Reserve. They're going to be doing their rate decision. That'll be Thursday afternoon. It is widely expected that they will not change rates at all. However, there's always room for a surprise, right? The economy, the stock market is rather on fire over the last 9 years. And although individual investors and some of my clients, retirement investors, don't ever want to see their investments fall, there needs to be a break. Just like anything good in life, you don't start a home remodeling project and just barrel through fixing the entire house. Like, there's a show where they do that for like 3 days straight, and you'll see these rookie little kids and they're like, we're going to remodel our kitchen. We have $750 to remodel the whole thing, and we plan to complete it in 3 days. And you just laugh and you're like, I'm watching this, right? So there needs to be a break, of course. And that's what the stock market really needs, in my opinion, and the economy as well. Just a slowing. Now, the Fed gets that. They're working on it, but they may not raise rates on Thursday. Most people don't think they will, actually. So let's talk about the stock market. So we talked about what happened today. We were talking about the possibility of something being a little off. And you know what was off today was the big tech names, your big cap tech stocks. Your Apple, that was lower by 3% today. Amazon, there you go. Amazon lower by 2.25% today. If you look through some of the other FANG names, they just sold off a little bit. I mean, not horrible there. Netflix was actually positive on the day, and I didn't actually check Google, 1.5%. So the main focus is big tech, right, in the NASDAQ. So that was holding you back, and that's really all there was to focus on as far as what happened. Why didn't everything move together? We mentioned the earnings, we mentioned the midterms, healthcare and biotech stocks. That was a focus today. I don't think I got a chance to mention that earlier. Very volatile range in healthcare and biotech stocks, honestly, just because of the midterms, right? pricing, drug pricing, regulations, all of the mergers that are trying to happen there. So there's a lot going on in the biotech sector right now, and midterm elections don't help them. So they've got big plans, and which government are they going to get to see, or what's the government going to be doing? We're going to find out really tomorrow. So that'll probably be another sector that's pretty exciting. Energy, that one was really exciting today. Really was all natural gas. Can I actually pull up? I don't know if I pay for this. Can I pull up natural gas? Oh, here's the natural gas futures. Perfect. I can pull it up. It's not live, or it's a little delayed, I guess. But natural gas today was up 8%. The report that comes out, really cool if you follow this stuff. They actually plaster the United States on a map, and they show the seasonal trends and how the weather is changing day by day. And this report comes out once a week. The report came out that November is now shifting to be a warmer November than expected. November, yeah. Wow, November already. Natural gas, so naturally just blasted off today. Anything energy related, that's energy of course, we know that, but anything energy related that has natural gas exposure did really well today. If it's just a company, it might be something like Chesapeake Energy. That gained 8.5% on the day, their natural gas. If it's natural gas supplies, explorers, transporters, things like that. If you really wanted to geek out on that, that was your exciting sector today. I think you see a little follow through going on there. Financial stocks, I want to point out, here's the financial sector as a whole. We drew the downtrend. Remember, I've been drawing this downtrend for you, saying that's resistance on the way up. It'll be some time before we get there, and we're basically there. So any push higher is going to need to be convincing, meaning you're going to want to see a really strong day. Look over here. See this strong day? Very solid, nothing but buying pressure with very heavy volume. That's what you're going to want to see to get us back above the downtrend. Otherwise, could just get a little sloppy here for a while. So just be ready for that. As for the stocks that we were mentioning, we mentioned Apple. A couple things. Stock was downgraded today, and the downgrade people take seriously. It's starting to sort of, the weight is starting to sort of put itself on the stock market, on the economy. Doesn't mean we're going to crash, by the way. It doesn't mean Apple crashes. It means that everything just slow down for a second, take a break. If we lose 1 or 2% or gain 1 or 2% for a while, people will think that that's okay. Well, most people will think that's okay, okay? So Apple downgraded. I wanted to point out, by the way, the Nikkei, I don't know, I watch the markets like 24 hours a day. So the Nikkei newspaper, I think they're just called the Nikkei. I get the web version of it. They put out this ridiculous article, and they did this before. So the last iPhone announcement that came out, the iPhone came out, everybody was excited, and then this Nikkei put out that just before earnings, actually a couple days before earnings, that Apple was slowing production. They were asking to reduce the total quantity overall with their suppliers over there, Foxconn and whoever else they are, in China. Well, this time they did the exact same thing. Remember, last time when they did that, Apple came out with their earnings and they said, sales are fine. I don't know what you guys read over there in China, but everything's cool over here. They proved it, right, with the fact that they actually had sales. So the Nikkei newspaper tried to do the same thing again. I think that kind of made its way into the headlines. I'm just pointing it out, but most of today's action was on the downgrade. Amazon, there we go. There we go. Down 2.25% on the day. Free shipping. If you're not a Prime member, for the holidays, they're going to remove the minimum order so that you can get free shipping on your deal there. They're also working on their headquarters. It looks like it's going to be Virginia. Crystal, did I write it down? Crystal Valley or something in Virginia. Looks like they are going to win the whole deal. I guess they're going to announce it by the end of the year. Basically, it's where's their second headquarters going to be. They've been shopping it. They've been getting tons of rebates, tons of kickbacks, tons of promises by the government, and they're just going to pick the best place. Under Armour downgraded today, but I mentioned, or sorry, the stock was upgraded today by Piper Jaffray. Analysts noted forward sales were underappreciated. That's what I had in my notes. Actually, I forgot what I was going to say there, so perfectly honest with you. Berkshire Hathaway, 4.5%. This is the B-class shares. They reported earnings. Everything looks good. Of course, they did a great job. They also bought back $928 million worth of shares. Let's just call it $1 billion, right? So $1 billion worth of shares. However, it was not their B-class shares. It was their A-class shares. He bought them back at $312,000 a share. $1 billion bucks, man. Very interesting there. Starbucks, was upgraded today. This is the one that was upgraded by the guy from Mizzou. I don't know if that's how you say it. Mizzou, it's a financial company, and he only has a 33% success rate. He's got a $75 price target on it. I'm kind of cheering for him because he's a young kid, and it looks like, you know, he needs to get a win, so I'm kind of hoping he gets this one. He says 75 bucks in the next 12 months. That's his price target, not mine. MGM is reportedly working with advisors to talk about handling the deal if they go forward with Caesars Entertainment. CZR is the stock on that one. So a potential buyout or MGM. Caesars would be the acquirer. MGM would be the acquiree. There we go. Chevron higher by 3.6% on the day. This was an upgrade. The analysts had a few things to say. One of them was that the company's got the free cash flow available, and you know, they thought that that was interesting. SeaWorld, we talked about this last week. That is not the symbol. SeaWorld, there we go, down 4% on the day. They beat on earnings. They beat on revenue. They had almost 10% increase in parks there, and it still sold off. So lesson of the day, go to SeaWorld, right? You got to do something there. Booking Holdings. There we go. Booking Holdings reported earnings after the close today. Stock was a lot higher. They missed on earnings, beat on revenue, and that's where everybody's focused, of course, this earnings season is revenue, right? And finally, I think I got a chance to point this out earlier, Under Armour. We mentioned them a second ago. Under Armour had to come out and actually say this. Check this out. When they would get a new customer, a new athlete, they would sign the new athlete, pay them whatever they paid them, and then they would go out and celebrate by going to a strip club or three. And they would actually get to use the company card, swiping it, having a good time, doing whatever, you know, happens in those places, and they would get to expense it. Strip club visits. And so the Wall Street Journal did like this sort of like, oh my God, we figured you out report. And Under Armour came out and said, you know what? No, that's fair. We should not expense those. They actually released that we are not going to expense our strip club visits. They didn't say they were going to stop going, by the way. So if you're a potential athlete and you like Under Armour and you like potential strip clubs that are free, then you might want to, you know, consider working with them. They didn't say they would stop going to the strip clubs. They just said, yeah, we're not going to expense them anymore. Turns out that's probably not fair. Wow. I just thought that was really interesting for the day. Also, tomorrow, midterms. If you're in Michigan, North Dakota, you have the ability to vote on recreational marijuana. So for all you pot stock people out there, I see what you say in Skyline. I can read and talk at the same time. No, you might, you know, you get to vote on that tomorrow. That'll make some headlines, I think. But I think most people are kind of over that. You know, just do your thing. You know, if that's what you do, then that's great. Sanctions on Iran officially go into place today. However, you didn't see oil do a whole lot because it doesn't really matter. We've all known this is coming for a while. And it's technically not sanctions in the way they pitched them because they're giving waivers to like Japan and India, I believe, South Korea. So, you know, it's going to hurt them a little bit, but we're going to have to do more if you're against Iran there. The CEO of General Electric, that made headlines today, bought 2 million shares. $2.2 million worth of shares, not 2 million. He bought 225,000 shares of GE at what was it? 973? Where's it at? 920. It was 973. I didn't write it down. I'm sorry. So the stock price was still lower on the day, but talk about buying a discount, huh? The guy decided he was going to buy, this new CEO is going to buy his own shares. Meanwhile, the old CEO gets $4.25 million for being kicked out, essentially, and still gets his stock options, which, I don't know, what do you think? Is that fair? Is that too much? Is that too little? Should he have got more? Should he have got less? Lowe's, by the way, Lowe's was a little positive today. They're closing 20 U.S. stores and 31 Canadian stores as they just try to, they're not restructuring, they're not going, you know, bankrupt or anything. They're just trying to become more efficient. The deal is there's stores within 10 miles of each other. So in our area, we have 1, 2 that I can say are definitely within 10 miles. We have 4 stores within 10 miles. Lowe's, by the way, that I can actually think of. There may be one that way, but I won't waste your time. So I would bet that, you know, at least 2 of those have got to be going down because nobody's there. Like, I go there when I don't want to be bothered. And I know what I need. I'm just going to go grab it and it's over. But we have a lot of Lowe's stores, so they're doing a good job. I think that's a good thing, not a bad thing there. All right. Yeah, you're definitely right. I can't actually suggest or make any individual stock recommendation. I might have found a little loophole there, but I've got compliance working on that. I can't do anything until I know for sure. Just my brain was working the other day, and I'm like, hey, how can I do it and still get away with it and not get in trouble? Because you don't want to make the SEC mad. You know what I mean? We got registered with them. Look, here's the letter. Since we're doing things off the cuff today, here's our pretty letter from the SEC that said, Dear Jazz Wealth, thank you so much for filing for the SEC registration. It's got the seal of approval and everything, or not seal of approval. I didn't say that. It's got their seal on the top. Actually, they don't approve you, believe it or not. Nowhere in here, actually it says the commission has not passed on the accuracy or adequacy of the information or the company or the effectiveness of the application's registration. They don't actually say you're approved, which is weird. They just sort of turn you on. So if you apply and you're denied, they tell you that. So I have to be very careful about that. Anyways, limited brands. Yes, limited brands did take off there. Well, slowly, right? Slowly but surely, limited brands is plugging along. I'm telling you, they've turned it around. I did the whole short video on that because those guys don't mess around. And that to date is the closest way that I can make a suggestion without actually making a suggestion. I did one on Boeing. I did one on limited brands. And I just try to, help you guys out there. David's in Denver, the traveling man. I love it. I love it. The generic names on, oh boy. Sounds like you guys got some experience. Maybe we shouldn't do these late shows here. No, the late show, Henry, I'm sorry. It didn't go well earlier. There was a connection or something. We did have a tornado Friday. By the way, why I wasn't here on Friday, tornado. Right through. First tornado I've ever been a part of. Got to film. I should make a video of that. And it just messed up everything. So I think that's part of what happened today. But you never know. That's what it is. The beauties of trying to run a streaming show when that's not what you really do for a living. Money. That's what we do. You went in on Kodak and H Harmony. I'll just call it that. You went all in. Is that some kind of joke? I know Kodak is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, that's all I have for you. I just wanted to make up for, look, I put a lot of effort every day into making all these notes and getting everything set up. And when I can't deliver it, like a piece of me is missing. I need to deliver it, otherwise I wasted all that time. So thank you for paying attention. I hope this is helpful for you. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, do the exact same thing again. So everything seems good now. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Talk to you tomorrow.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.